The C-17's wheels hit the tarmac at John Glenn International, and that familiar jolt ran through my body. 14 months of deployment ending with this moment. Through the small window, Columbus spread out below, the Scioto River winding through downtown like I'd pictured it 1,000 times in Syria. My duffel bag sat heavy at my feet, still carrying dust from forward operating base Warrior that I knew I'd never completely shake out. "Welcome home, soldiers," the pilot announced, and the plane erupted in cheers. I stayed quiet, my hand finding my phone. Angela's last text glowed on the screen, sent 3 hours ago. "Surprise at home, couldn't leave. Can't wait to see you." Strange. We'd planned for weeks that she'd be here at the airport. She'd even taken time off from Franklin County Children's Services, where she'd worked as an administrator for 6 years. But maybe she was planning something special. After 3 years of failed fertility treatments that had drained our savings down to nothing, maybe she had news about the adoption agencies she'd been researching while I was gone. "Morrison!" Sergeant First Class Rodriguez slapped my shoulder. "You need a ride?" "Nah, I'm good. Wife's got something planned at home." "Lucky man. Mine's probably already got the divorce papers drawn up," he laughed. "But there was pain behind it. Third deployment, third marriage on the rocks. I'd seen it too many times." The Uber driver was chatty, asking about my deployment, thanking me for my service. I gave him the rehearsed answers while watching familiar streets roll by. Past Ohio State's campus, through Clintonville, into Worthington, every mile bringing me closer to Angela, to the life we'd put on hold. Our street looked exactly the same, ranch houses with neat lawns, American flags on half the porches. But as we pulled up to our house, something was off. Toys littered the front yard. A basketball hoop stood in the driveway where my workbench used to be. 2 bicycles leaned against the garage, one red, one purple, both kid-sized. A pink scooter lay abandoned on the lawn next to a softball glove. "This the right address?" the driver asked, checking his app. "Yeah," I said slowly, confusion creeping in. "This is it." "Looks like you got kids, man. They must be excited to see Dad." I grabbed my duffel without responding. We didn't have kids. 3 rounds of IVF had made that painfully clear. Maybe Angela was babysitting for extra money. We'd talked about rebuilding our savings. That had to be it. The front door opened before I could get my key out. Angela stood there, and for a moment everything else disappeared. Her brown hair was longer, past her shoulders now. Those green eyes I'd fallen for 10 years ago were bright with something I couldn't quite read. Excitement? Nervousness? She wore the sundress I'd bought her for our anniversary, the yellow one that made her skin glow. "James!" She threw herself into my arms, and I dropped the duffel to catch her. She smelled like vanilla and home and everything I'd missed. "God, I missed you," I whispered into her hair. "I missed you too," she said, but there was something tight in her voice. She pulled back, taking my hand. "Come inside. I have something amazing to show you." The hallway walls were covered in children's artwork, crayon drawings of houses and stick figure families, a few photographs I didn't recognize showing children at various ages. The refrigerator was covered in report cards and certificates. Student of the Month, Tyler Morrison. Perfect attendance, Madison Morrison. Most improved, Sophia Morrison. Morrison, our last name. "Angela, what? Just come to the living room, please." She led me through our familiar hallway, but everything felt different. Children's shoes by the door, backpacks hanging on hooks I'd never installed. A height chart penciled on the doorframe with 3 sets of measurements. We entered the living room, and I stopped cold. Three children sat on our couch. The oldest, a dark-haired boy who looked about 11, was reading a book. Harry Potter, I noticed. Next to him, a blonde girl around 8 or 9 clutched an American Girl doll. The youngest, maybe 5, held a stuffed rabbit against her chest and watched us with huge blue eyes. James, Angela said, her voice pitched high with forced excitement. Meet Tyler, Madison, and Sophia. We're fostering them. The words hit me like a physical blow. I'd been preparing for news about adoption applications, maybe a pregnancy miracle, but this? 3 children already in our house? The boy, Tyler, stood up immediately and walked over with the measured steps of someone following instructions. He extended his hand formally. Nice to meet you, Mr. James. Mrs. Morrison told us all about you. Thank you for your service. His handshake was firm, practiced, too mature for an 11-year-old. His eyes were serious, studying me with an intensity that felt wrong. Hi, Madison said from the couch, giving a small wave. She was pretty, delicate features that would probably break hearts in high school. The little one, Sophia, just buried her face deeper in her rabbit. Angela, I said carefully, keeping my voice steady for the kids' sake. Can we talk for a minute? Privately? Oh, James, I know it's a surprise. Her words tumbled out too fast. When the agency called about an emergency placement, and I explained you were deployed, they fast-tracked everything. Their mother had a medical crisis. It's temporary, but could become permanent. They needed a stable home immediately, and I thought, why wait? We've wanted children for so long, and these 3 needed us. Isn't it wonderful? I looked at the 3 kids watching us with uncertain eyes. Whatever my confusion, they were innocents in this. It's definitely a surprise, I managed, forcing what I hoped was a warm smile. Hey guys, I'm James. Sorry if I seem a little shocked. I just got back from a really long trip and wasn't expecting to meet anyone new today. From Syria, Tyler said. Building schools and water systems. Mrs. Morrison said you're a hero. The specific details caught me off guard. That's right. How did you... She told us everything about you, he said quickly. She wanted us to be prepared for when you came home. She said you might be tired and need time to adjust. That's thoughtful. Angela had prepared lasagna, my favorite, the smell filling the house with warmth and normalcy. But nothing about dinner felt normal. The kids called me Mr. James throughout the meal, each time sounding carefully rehearsed. They used napkins properly, said please and thank you, chewed with their mouths closed. So, Tyler, I said, trying to break the ice, what grade are you in? 6th. I'm in the advanced mathematics program at Worthington Hills. That's impressive. Do you like math? It's logical, predictable. You can always find the right answer if you follow the rules. He glanced at Angela as he said this, like he was reciting something. What about you, Madison? What do you like? I play violin, she said softly. Mrs. Morrison signed me up for lessons. I practice every day. That's great. Did you play before coming here? Another glance at Angela. No, I just started. She's a natural, Angela jumped in. Show Mr. James your violin after dinner. Sophia didn't speak at all, just pushed her food around her plate and occasionally whispered to her rabbit. What struck me most wasn't their politeness, but their obvious middle-class upbringing. Tyler discussed his advanced classes with vocabulary that belonged in a college classroom. Madison mentioned art history when looking at one of our paintings. Even little Sophia, when she finally spoke to ask for water, said May I please have some water when you have a moment? These weren't typical foster children from troubled backgrounds. Everything about them screamed stability, education, privilege. Their clothes were high-end, Gap Kids, Mini Bowden, brands that cost more than foster stipends typically covered. Tyler had an iPhone in his pocket. Madison's American Girl doll was one of the expensive historical ones, not a knockoff. How long have they been here? I asked Angela as we cleared plates. 6 weeks, she said, then quickly added, it feels like longer because we've bonded so much. After dinner, while Angela cleaned up, the kids showed me around what used to be my house. Tyler's room was my former office, now decorated with NASA posters and a telescope I'd never seen before. Madison had the guest room, walls covered in artwork that looked professionally framed. Sophia had the small room we'd planned as a nursery, now pink and purple with a canopy bed. This is a nice telescope, I told Tyler. It's a Celestron Nexstar 8 SE. You can see Saturn's rings with it. That was a $1,500 telescope. Foster stipends didn't cover that. Did the foster agency provide this? Tyler's eyes widened slightly. Mrs. Morrison got it, for educational purposes. That night, as I unpacked in our bedroom, I could hear Angela reading to Sophia down the hall. Something about a princess and a dragon, her voice soft and maternal. It should have made me happy. This was what we'd wanted. But something felt fundamentally wrong. They seem like great kids, I said when Angela came to bed. They are. We're so lucky, James. After everything we went through, all those treatments, and now we have 3 beautiful children. The agency just called out of nowhere. Well, I'd put us on the emergency placement list months ago. I didn't want to tell you and get your hopes up while you were deployed. And their mother? What happened to her? Angela's face clouded. It's complicated. Medical power of attorney situation, she's getting treatment. The kids don't like to talk about it. What about their father? Not in the picture. Angela, that telescope in Tyler's room cost more than… James, she interrupted, taking my face in her hands. I know this is a lot. I know you're tired and probably overwhelmed. But please, just give it time. These children need us. We wanted a family, and now we have one. Isn't that what matters? I wanted to agree, wanted to fall into this ready-made family, but my instincts were screaming. The same instincts that had kept me alive in Syria, that had warned me about IEDs and ambushes. The next morning brought routine, or what passed for routine in this new reality. Angela left for work at 7, kissing my cheek and reminding me about the kids' schedules. Tyler's bus comes at 7:45, Madison's at 8, and I usually drive Sophia to preschool at 8:30. You've got this down to a science. 3 months of practice, she said, then caught herself. 6 weeks. It feels like 3 months. The slip nagged at me as I got the kids ready. Tyler helped his sisters without being asked, pouring cereal, making sure they had their backpacks. He moved through the kitchen with the efficiency of someone who'd been doing this routine for much longer than 6 weeks. You're very helpful, I observed. We take care of each other, he said simply. That's what Dad always… He stopped abruptly, face going pale. That's what families do. Tyler, did you know your dad? No, he said too quickly. Never met him. Mrs. Morrison says we shouldn't talk about before. It upsets the girls. At Tyler's school, I decided to go inside, claiming I needed to update emergency contact information. The secretary, a cheerful woman named Mrs. Patterson, beamed when she saw me. Oh, Mr. Morrison, so wonderful to finally meet you. Tyler talks about his dad all the time. My throat tightened. He does? Oh, yes, always going on about your work in Michigan. Some kind of special engineering project? He's so proud of you. He was just telling us last week about how you were teaching him about structural engineering over video calls. Michigan. Video calls. I'd been in Syria with barely enough signal for emails. Right, I said carefully. The project. He was so excited when you got back last month. Said you were planning to take them all on your boat once the weather warmed up. Such a wonderful father, making time for the children even with your demanding schedule. Last month, I'd been back exactly 3 days. The boat, I repeated. Oh yes, on Lake Erie. Tyler showed us pictures. Beautiful vessel. A Catalina 350, I believe. My husband would be so jealous. I'd never owned a boat. I'd never been on Lake Erie. I'd been in Syria last month. Thank you, Mrs. Patterson. I should go. Of course. And Mr. Morrison? Thank you for taking in these children. After what happened with their mother, they needed stability. You and your wife are angels. I sat in my truck in the school parking lot and called Rick Sullivan, my buddy, who'd left the Army to become a private investigator. Morrison, heard you were back. How's civilian life? Rick, I need a favor. No questions asked. That serious already? You've been home 3 days? Can you do it or not? Of course, brother. What do you need? I need you to look into 3 kids. Tyler, Madison, and Sophia. Last name might be Walsh. Their mother is listed as Catherine Walsh on some paperwork I saw. They're supposedly in foster care, but something's not right. Foster kids? Jesus, James, what's Angela gotten into? That's what I'm trying to figure out. That afternoon, while the kids were at school, I went through the house more carefully. In Angela's home office, she'd taken over the spare bedroom while I was gone, I found the filing cabinet with the foster care paperwork. Everything looked legitimate at first glance. Official letterheads, case numbers, signatures. But the details were vague. Catherine Walsh was listed as the biological mother under a medical power of attorney situation. No specifics about her condition. No father listed. The emergency placement was dated October 15th, 3 months ago, not 6 weeks. I photographed everything, then moved to Angela's laptop. Her password was still our anniversary date. She'd never been good with security. Her email showed regular correspondence with someone named Christopher about the children's progress and maintaining the arrangement. The emails were careful, coded, but one stood out. Kay still believes the story. Tuition payment transferred as usual. The kids are adjusting well, though T is asking more questions. May need to reinforce the narrative. C. Tuition payment. I checked our bank accounts. The regular deposits from Franklin County were there. $2,400 monthly for 3 children. But there were other deposits. $3,500 monthly from KW Consulting, starting in October. My phone buzzed. Rick. James, you sitting down? Just tell me. Catherine Walsh is real. Lives in New Albany with her husband Christopher Walsh, investment banker at Morgan Stanley. They have 3 kids, Tyler, 11, Madison, 8, and Sophia, 5. So they are her kids. Here's where it gets weird. According to social media and some discreet inquiries, the kids are supposedly at Grandview Preparatory Academy, some elite boarding school in Michigan, have been since October. Boarding school. Yeah. But James, I called the school. They have no record of any Walsh children. The pieces were starting to form a picture I didn't want to see. That evening, I helped Madison with homework while Angela made dinner. Going through her backpack, I found more drawings. They all featured the same family, a man who looked nothing like me, a house that wasn't ours, and consistently, a boat on water. Madison, tell me about your drawings. Her eyes went wide, darting to where Tyler sat. He shook his head minutely. They're just imagination, she said quietly. This boat appears in all of them. I like boats. Have you been on a boat? I dot. She looked at Tyler again, who stood up. Mr. James, I forgot to show you my science project. It's about renewable energy. Can you help me? Obvious deflection, but I let it go. For now. That night, I handled bedtime while Angela showered. Sophia was first. As I tucked her in, she looked up at me with those huge eyes. Will you tell me the special story? What story, sweetie? The one about the boat, where we catch the big fish and Madison falls in, but she's okay because she can swim real good. My stomach clenched. Sophia, I don't have a boat. Her face scrunched in confusion. But we visited you at Christmas on your boat. Tyler said we had to pretend it was a different boat, but I know it was yours because it had the blue stripe. When did Tyler say that? When Daddy... She clapped both hands over her mouth, eyes going wide with fear. It's okay, I said gently. You can tell me. She shook her head violently, tears starting to fall. I'm not supposed to say. I'll get in trouble. Everyone will get in trouble. Sophia, I want Mrs. Morrison, she cried. I went to Tyler's room last. He was in bed but clearly awake, staring at the ceiling. Tyler, we need to talk. About what? His voice was carefully neutral. About your dad. His whole body tensed. I told you I don't have a dad. The secretary at your school says different. She says your dad works in Michigan. She says he owns a boat. Tyler sat up, and in the dim light from the hallway, I could see tears on his face. Please don't make me lie anymore. Then tell me the truth. He grabbed my hand suddenly, desperately. Why do I have to pretend not to know you anymore, Daddy? I hate this. I hate lying. Sophia's gonna mess up. She's too little to remember all the rules, and then Mom will be in trouble and... He froze, his face going white. I mean, Mr. James, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. He scrambled out of bed and ran to the bathroom, locking the door. Angela appeared instantly, like she'd been listening. What happened? He called me Daddy. Angela, what the hell is going on? She sighed, knocking on the bathroom door. Tyler, honey, it's okay. Come out. It's transference, she said to me, using her psychology degree voice. Common in foster care. He's associating you with his father figure. The trauma of separation. Stop lying to me. I'm not. Tyler's teacher thinks I work in Michigan. She thinks I own a boat. She thinks I came back last month. Angela's face cycled through several expressions: surprise, fear, calculation. She must be confused. Maybe she mixed Tyler up with another student. 3 kids, Angela. Where did these 3 kids really come from? They're foster children. You saw the paperwork. I saw papers. That doesn't mean they're real. James, you're tired. You're dealing with deployment stress. Maybe I should what? See a therapist? Take some pills? Pretend I don't know my wife is lying to me? Tyler cracked the bathroom door. I'm sorry, he whispered. I didn't mean to cause problems. Tyler, none of this is your fault, I said firmly. Go back to bed. We'll figure this out. Angela followed me to our bedroom, closing the door behind her. James, please. These children need stability. Whatever you think is happening, what I think is that you've lied to me from the moment I got home. Maybe longer. What I think is that these aren't foster children at all. That's ridiculous. Is it? Then explain the tuition payments. Explain KW Consulting. Explain why Tyler knows someone he calls Daddy who owns a boat and works in Michigan. Angela sat on the bed, and for the first time since I'd been home, she looked genuinely vulnerable. It's complicated. Then uncomplicate it. I can't. Not yet. Please, James, just trust me. Everything I've done has been for us, for our family. We don't have a family. We have 3 kids who aren't ours living in our house. They could be ours. That's what foster care is about, the possibility of adoption. Stop lying to me! My shout echoed through the house. We both froze, listening for sounds of scared children, but the house stayed quiet. 2 weeks, Angela said finally. Give me 2 weeks to sort everything out, and then I'll explain everything. Please. I wanted to say no. Every instinct screamed to demand the truth now, but those 3 kids were sleeping down the hall, innocent in whatever game Angela was playing. 1 week, I said, and if you lie to me one more time, I'm going to the authorities. She nodded, relief flooding her face. 1 week, thank you. But I wasn't going to wait. The next morning, after everyone left, I met Rick at a diner in Westerville. It's worse than we thought, he said, sliding a folder across the table. Christopher Walsh has been having an affair with Angela for 2 years. The coffee turned to acid in my stomach. What? Credit card records, hotel receipts, phone records. It's all here? But that's not the worst part. It gets worse? Christopher convinced his wife that the kids needed more structure, more discipline. Sold her on this elite boarding school in Michigan. She's been sending $3,500 a month for tuition to KW Consulting, which is controlled by Angela. Meanwhile, Angela used her position at Children's Services to push through foster care paperwork for 3 children who aren't actually in need of foster care. She's collecting from both ends, foster stipends and fake tuition. And Christopher's been visiting the kids regularly while you were deployed. The kids have been told they're in a special program and have to pretend not to know their father to protect mommy. I felt sick. Their mother thinks they're at boarding school? Catherine Walsh has no idea her kids are 20 minutes away in Worthington. She thinks they're getting the best education money can buy. And Christopher just gave his kids to his mistress? He's planning to divorce Catherine. The emails suggest he's waiting for a promotion. Then he'll file. He and Angela have been playing house with his kids while you were gone. What did Angela tell him about me? Rick looked uncomfortable. According to the emails, you abandoned her. The deployment was just a cover story. He thinks he's helping her raise his kids while transitioning out of his marriage. I stood up, rage flooding through me. You're going to be smart, Rick said firmly. We document everything. We build an airtight case, then we burn them all. The next few days were torture. I smiled at breakfast, drove kids to school, helped with homework, all while documenting everything. I installed small cameras in common areas, legal in my own home. I recorded conversations, photographed documents, built my case with military precision. Angela grew more nervous as the week progressed. She took calls in the garage, whispering urgently. I caught fragments. He knows something. We need to move the timeline. The promotion has to happen soon. Wednesday night, she went to book club. Or so she said. I followed her to Easton Town Center, watched her meet Christopher at a restaurant. They sat close, intimate, her hand on his arm. When he leaned in to kiss her, I took photos. Thursday, I broke. While Angela was at work and the kids at school, I called Catherine Walsh from a burner phone. Mrs. Walsh? This is regarding your children at Grandview Academy. Oh, is everything all right? Her voice was cultured, concerned. There's been a situation that requires your immediate attention. Can you come to Ohio tomorrow? Ohio? But the school is in Michigan. Mrs. Walsh, your children are not in Michigan. They're in Worthington, Ohio. They have been for 3 months. Silence. Then, who is this? Someone who's been lied to as much as you have. 4580 Middlesex Road, Worthington. Friday, 2 p.m. Bring your bank statements for the tuition payments. And Mrs. Walsh, come alone. Don't tell your husband. How do I know this isn't? Your daughter Sophia has a stuffed rabbit she carries everywhere. Madison plays violin but prefers piano. Tyler has been telling people his father works in Michigan. They're safe, but they need their mother. I heard her sharp intake of breath. If you've hurt my children, they're fine. They've been very brave, but they need this to end. Friday morning, I told Angela I had a VA appointment in Columbus. Might run late, don't wait dinner for me. She barely looked up from her phone. Christopher's taking the kids to the Science Museum after school. I mean, a friend from work. Someone you haven't met. That's nice of them. At 1:30, I parked down the street and waited. Christopher's Mercedes pulled into my driveway at 1:45. He walked in like he owned the place, Angela greeting him with a kiss in the doorway. The kids ran to him, Tyler more reluctant than his sisters, but all three clearly knew him well. At 2 p.m. exactly, a white Lexus pulled up. Catherine Walsh stepped out, elegant, composed, but with an uncertainty in her movements. She checked the address twice, then walked to the door. I slipped through the back door as the doorbell rang, positioning myself where I could see everything. Angela's laughter from the living room cut off abruptly. "I'll get it," she called, her voice too bright. She opened the door and I watched the color drain from her face. "Yes? Can I help you?" Catherine's voice was steady. "I was told—" "I'm sorry, I think there might be a mistake. I was told my children—" That's when Sophia appeared, running toward the door with her rabbit. She stopped dead when she saw who was there. "Mommy Catherine!" she shrieked, flying into the woman's arms. "Mommy Catherine, you came back?" Catherine stood frozen, her daughter clinging to her neck, tears streaming down both their faces. "Sophia! Baby, what are you doing here?" Madison and Tyler appeared from the living room, their faces cycling through shock, relief, and fear. Behind them, Christopher stood with a wine glass in his hand, his face white as paper. "Catherine?" His voice cracked like a teenager's. She looked up from Sophia, taking in the scene, her husband in another woman's house, her children in pajamas on a Friday afternoon, Angela standing there like she'd seen a ghost. "What are my children doing here?" Catherine's voice was deadly quiet. "Christopher, what are my children doing here?" "Mommy, we missed you so much." Madison ran to her mother. "They said you were sick, but you look okay. Are you better now?" "Sick?" Catherine's eyes blazed. "Who told you I was sick?" Tyler stepped forward, his 11-year-old dignity crumbling. "Dad said you needed time to get better, that we were in a special program to help you." "A special program?" Catherine's voice could have frozen fire. "Is that what you called it, Christopher? A special program?" Christopher tried to speak, but only managed to drop his wine glass. It shattered on the hardwood floor, red wine spreading like blood. That's when I stepped fully into view. Mrs. Walsh, I'm Staff Sergeant James Morrison. This is my house. Your children have been living here for 3 months while you thought they were at boarding school. James, Angela gasped. You said you had an appointment? I lied. Seems to be a lot of that going around. Catherine set Sophia down gently, her hands shaking. Someone please explain what's happening. Now. Should I or would you like to? I asked Angela. Christopher found his voice. Catherine, it's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like, I cut him off. I walked to the dining room table where I'd laid out all my evidence that morning. Mrs. Walsh, your husband has been having an affair with my wife for 2 years. Together, they created an elaborate fraud. You've been paying $3,500 a month for boarding school tuition that goes directly to Angela's account. Meanwhile, Angela used her position at Children's Services to file fraudulent foster care paperwork, collecting an additional $2,400 monthly from the state. You're lying, Christopher said weakly. I pulled out the folder Rick had compiled. Hotel receipts, credit card statements, email exchanges. I pulled up a recording on my phone from the camera I'd placed in the living room. Angela's voice filled the room. Once the divorce is final, we can stop this ridiculous foster charade. Catherine sank into a chair, her children clustering around her. You told me they needed structure. You said Grandview would give them opportunities. I did what was best for them, Christopher started. You gave our children to your mistress? Catherine's composure finally cracked. You let me believe they were at school while you played family in another woman's house. Mrs. Morrison was nice to us, Sophia said in a small voice, but we wanted to come home. They made us lie, Tyler said, his voice stronger now. We had to pretend not to know, Dad. We had to call him Mr. Chris when anyone was around. We couldn't talk about you at all. I had to learn violin, Madison added, as if this was the worst offense. I hate violin. I wanted my piano. The doorbell rang. We all froze. That would be the FBI, I said calmly. Interstate fraud is a federal crime. Angela tried to run. She made it 3 steps before I blocked her path. You're not going anywhere. James, please, I can explain. Explain to them. 2 FBI agents entered, badges displayed. Angela Morrison? This is a mistake, she said desperately. I'm a social worker. These are my foster children. These are my children. Catherine stood, fury radiating from every line of her body. And you're going to prison for what you've done to them. The agents cuffed Angela as one read her rights. Christopher tried to edge toward the door, but the second agent stopped him. Christopher Walsh, you're also under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud. This is insane. I'm their father. A father who committed fraud and child endangerment, the agent said, cuffing him. As they led them out, Angela looked back at me. I did it for us. We wanted children. We wanted our own children, not someone else's. Not like this. The house filled with people after that. FBI agents, Children's Services Emergency Response Team, Catherine's lawyer, who arrived in a Bentley within an hour. The children were interviewed gently, their story confirming everything I documented. Angela's supervisor, Marjorie, looked physically ill as she reviewed the fraudulent paperwork. 23 years I've worked here. Angela was one of our best. I can't believe... Has she done this before? I asked. Marjorie's silence was damning. We'll be reviewing all her cases, she said finally. As the chaos swirled, I sat with Tyler on the back porch. The other two were inside with their mother, but Tyler had needed space. I'm sorry I lied to you, he said quietly. You were protecting your sisters. That took courage. I hated it. Every day, pretending you were a stranger when Dad visited and we had to act like. It was all so confusing. None of this was your fault. Will Mrs. Morrison go to jail? Probably. She wasn't mean to us. She was actually nice. She wanted us to be her kids so badly that she didn't care about what we wanted. Wise words from an 11-year-old who'd been forced to grow up too fast. Catherine came out, Sophia on her hip, Madison holding her hand. Mr. Morrison, I can't thank you enough. If you hadn't, they're good kids. They deserve their real life back. She nodded, then looked at Tyler. Ready to go home? Are we really going home? Madison asked. To our real house? With my piano? Yes, sweetheart. We're going home. As they left, Sophia waved at me over her mother's shoulder. Bye, Mr. James. Thank you for finding our mommy. The house felt empty after they left. Empty and tainted. I stood in what had been Tyler's room for 3 months, looking at the NASA posters, the expensive telescope. All props in Angela's elaborate play. That night, I sat alone in the dark living room, trying to process it all. My wife of 8 years had not only cheated on me, but had stolen another woman's children, defrauded the state, and built an entire false life while I was deployed serving our country. The scandal exploded across Columbus within days. Children's services worker runs adoption scam, screamed from the Dispatch's front page. Angela's mugshot was on every local news channel. My name mostly stayed out of it. Deployed soldier discovers fraud, was all most stories said. The investigation revealed Angela had done something similar before, smaller scale. A single mother in rehab, her daughter placed with a family while Angela collected from both the state and the mother's relatives who thought they were paying for private care. Christopher's investment firm suspended him immediately. Within a week, he was terminated. The FBI found he'd been embezzling funds to maintain the double life, adding federal charges to his growing list. I filed for divorce the day after Angela's arrest. Ohio's laws made it simple: adultery, fraud, and abandonment of marital duties while I was deployed. She tried calling from jail, but I never answered. Her mother showed up once, sobbing on my doorstep. Where did I go wrong? She wept. She was such a good girl. I had no answers for her. How do you explain that kind of deception? The house sold quickly. I priced it to move, needing to escape the ghosts. Every room held memories now tainted by lies. The nursery we'd planned, that became Sophia's room. The office where I'd worked, that became Tyler's space. The guest room where Madison had practiced that hated violin. I used the proceeds to set up a fund for legitimate foster children, kids who actually needed homes and weren't pawns in someone's sick game. The trial took 8 months to begin. By then, I was in therapy, trying to process not just the deployment but the betrayal. Dr. Sarah Winters, a veteran herself, specialized in this kind of trauma. It's not just infidelity, she explained. She built an elaborate fiction and made you an unwitting accomplice. That's a special kind of violation. I keep thinking about these kids, I told her. They called me Mr. James for 3 months while their father pretended to be a stranger. Children are resilient, but this will affect them. They're getting help, though. You made sure of that by exposing the truth. Angela's lawyer pushed for a plea deal. Mental illness, deployment stress, desperation for children. I testified against any leniency. She didn't just steal money, I told the court. She stole childhoods. She forced 3 children to live a lie, to deny their own father, to believe their mother was sick. She perverted a system designed to protect vulnerable children for her own sick fantasy. The judge agreed. Angela got 12 years federal, possibility of parole in 7. As they led her away, she looked at me one last time. I saw no remorse, only anger that her plan had failed. Christopher got 5 years, 18 months, minimum before parole. His wife's family's lawyers made sure he lost everything: his career, his assets, his reputation. The children would only see him under strict supervision, if at all. Catherine and I met for coffee 6 months later. She looked healthier, the haunted look gone from her eyes. "How are they?" I asked. "Better. Tyler's in therapy twice a week. He still has nightmares sometimes, but they're getting less frequent. Madison's back to her piano. She really is talented. And Sophia, she's young enough that the memories are already fading. That's good. They ask about you sometimes. You were kind to them when their world was insane. They're good kids." Tyler especially feels guilty. He thinks he should have told someone sooner. He was protecting his sisters. She stirred her coffee thoughtfully. "I'm filing for divorce." "I'm sorry. Don't be." Christopher showed me who he really is. A man who would give away his children for convenience, who would let them live a lie to maintain his affair. That's not a father. What about Angela? "Do you—" "I hate her," Catherine said simply. "But I also pity her. To want children so desperately that you'd steal them, force them to live a lie. There's something broken in her that can't be fixed." A year after everything exploded, I was back in school, using my GI benefits for a doctorate in counseling psychology. Turns out, understanding betrayal from the inside made me good at helping others through it. My dissertation topic: Deployment Vulnerability and Domestic Fraud, How Military Families Become Targets. It got picked up by military journals, sparked conversations about support systems for deployed soldiers' families. I ran into Tyler at a bookstore 2 years later. He was 13, taller, looking more like Christopher, but with Catherine's eyes. "Dr. Morrison?" he said uncertainly. "Just James." "How are you, Tyler?" "Good. I'm good. Mom remarried. He's nice. Adopting us, actually. We're changing our last name." "That's wonderful. I wanted to say thank you for telling the truth, for not just letting it continue. You would have told eventually." He shook his head. "I was scared. Dad, Christopher, he made it seem like Mom would die if we told. Angela said the same thing. They made us believe we were protecting her by lying. That's what manipulators do. They make you complicit in your own deception." "Is that from your psychology studies?" I smiled. "Something like that. Mom says you help veterans now, people who've been betrayed. I try." "That's good. Taking something horrible and making something useful from it." We talked for a few more minutes. He was doing well in school, considering engineering like I had. Madison was thriving, possibly Juilliard-bound with her piano. Sophia was a normal 7-year-old, the trauma mostly forgotten. As he left, he turned back. "Mr. James, we were lucky you came home when you did. A few more months and—" "But I did come home. That's what matters." Christopher got out after 18 months, straight to a halfway house. He worked at a tax preparation chain, his finance career destroyed. Within 6 months, he'd married a woman he met through a prison pen pal program. Catherine's investigator kept tabs, making sure he stayed away from the children. Angela served 4 years before her first parole hearing. Denied. She'd taught literacy to inmates, found religion, claimed redemption. The parole board wasn't moved. Catherine's family made sure of that, their influence reaching far. "She's changed," her mother wrote to me. "She's not the same person who did those terrible things." Maybe she had changed, but some acts can't be undone. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. 5 years after that Sunday confrontation, I was Dr. James Morrison, working full-time at the VA, specializing in betrayal trauma. My waiting list was always full. Too many soldiers came home to empty bank accounts, affairs, abandoned children, stolen identities. "The betrayal isn't your fault," I'd tell them, meaning it more each time. "Trusting someone you love doesn't make you weak. It makes you human." Christmas shopping at Easton Town Center, the place where I'd first seen Christopher and Angela together, I heard my name. "Dr. Morrison?" I turned. Tyler stood there, 16 now, looking like the young man he'd become. Catherine was nearby with Madison and Sophia, all of them carrying shopping bags. "Tyler, good to see you." "You too." He paused, then said, "I got into MIT, early admission." "That's incredible. Engineering?" "Aerospace. I still have that telescope, you know, the one Angela bought. Mom wanted to throw it away, but I kept it. It reminds me that even in lies, there can be pieces of truth. She wanted me to love science, and I do." That's a mature perspective. Madison joined us, 15 and beautiful. "Hi, Dr. Morrison. Mom says you wrote a book?" "Just academic stuff, nothing exciting." "It's about what happened to us, isn't it, in a way?" "In a way, but really it's about preventing it from happening to others." Sophia, 12 now, gave me a shy wave. She probably barely remembered those 3 months, which was a blessing. Catherine approached, elegant as always. "James, how are you?" "Good. You?" "We're well. Richard, my husband, is wonderful with them." "I'm glad. Is there anyone?" I shook my head. "Trust issues. Occupational hazard." "I'm sorry." "Don't be. I found purpose in the work. That's enough." As they walked away, Tyler turned back. "Dr. Morrison, thank you again. For everything." I nodded, watching them disappear into the holiday crowd. A family rebuilt from deception, stronger for having survived it. Angela got out after 7 years. Her mother had written to tell me, thinking I'd want to know. She was living in West Virginia, working at a grocery store, using a different name. Her social work license was gone forever, her psychology degree useless. I wondered sometimes if she thought about those 3 months, about the children she'd forced to live a lie, about the husband she'd betrayed. Did she understand the damage she'd caused? Or did she still see herself as the victim, denied the children she'd wanted so desperately? Christopher disappeared after his parole ended. Last anyone heard, he was in Florida, selling insurance, married to wife number 3. He never tried to contact his children, perhaps the one decent thing he'd done in the whole mess. I kept the photo Catherine had sent me that last Christmas, their family portrait with her new husband, the children smiling genuinely. Tyler looking confident, Madison radiant, Sophia carefree. They'd survived. More than survived, they'd thrived. The foster children had been real, just not foster children at all. The marriage had been fake, at least Angela's commitment to it. The deployment I'd survived, only to come home to a different kind of warfare. But survival is its own victory. Every morning I woke up was a choice to keep going. Every veteran I helped was proof that betrayal didn't have to be the end of the story. In my desk drawer at the VA, I kept one photo from those 3 months. Tyler, Madison, and Sophia on the couch that first day, uncertain and scared. I kept it as a reminder that sometimes the hardest battles aren't fought overseas but in our own homes. That sometimes saving someone means exposing painful truths. That children forced to live lies deserve someone willing to tell the truth, no matter the cost. The trust Angela broke could never be fully repaired. Like a bone that heals wrong, it would always ache when the weather changed. But I'd learned to live with that ache, to use it to help others navigate their own betrayals. Some wounds never fully heal. They just become part of your story, scar tissue that's stronger than the original skin. Angela had tried to steal my future by faking my present. Instead, she'd inadvertently given me a purpose I never would have found otherwise. The foster children were never mine, but saving them had shown me who I really was. Not just a soldier, not just a betrayed husband, but someone who could recognize deception and choose truth, no matter how much it hurt. And in the end, that was the best revenge of all. Not just surviving the betrayal, but building something meaningful from the wreckage. Every veteran I helped, every family I kept together by recognizing the warning signs, every predator I helped expose, that was my answer to what Angela had done. She'd wanted a family so badly she'd stolen one. I'd wanted a family too, but I'd learned that some things can't be forced, can't be stolen, can't be built on lies. Real families, real love, real trust, they have to be built on truth, even when the truth is painful. Looking back now, those 3 days before I discovered the truth felt like a different lifetime. The excitement of coming home, the confusion at finding children in my house, the brief moment when I thought maybe, just maybe, we'd gotten our miracle. But miracles built on lies aren't miracles at all. They're just elaborate frauds waiting to collapse. The real miracle was that 3 children found their way home. That Catherine got her babies back. That Tyler, Madison, and Sophia learned that truth, no matter how hard, is better than the prettiest lie. And maybe, in some small way, the miracle was that I'd found my calling in the ruins of my marriage. Not the family I'd dreamed of during those long nights in Syria, but a purpose that mattered. Every week, sometimes every day, I sat with someone who'd been betrayed. Soldiers mostly, but sometimes civilians who'd heard about my work. They came with their stories of deception, their wounds fresh and bleeding. I should have known, they'd say. The signs were there. The signs are always clearer in hindsight, I'd tell them. Trust isn't stupidity, it's humanity. And then I'd tell them, carefully, clinically, but with the understanding that only comes from experience, about the time I came home from deployment to find 3 children in my house, about the wife who'd stolen them, about the elaborate lie that had fooled everyone. You survived that? They'd ask. I survived. You will too. Because that's all any of us can do. Survive our betrayals, learn from them, and maybe, if we're lucky, use them to help others find their way through the darkness. Angela had taught me that trust could be weaponized, that love could be perverted, that the desire for family could become something monstrous. But she'd also taught me, inadvertently, that truth has a way of surfacing, that children's innocence can't be completely corrupted, that even the most elaborate lies eventually crack under their own weight. In trying to create a false family, she'd destroyed any chance of a real one. In trying to force a future, she'd annihilated her present. In trying to have everything, she'd ended up with nothing. The last time I drove past our old house in Worthington, a new family lived there. Children's bikes in the yard, real ones this time. A basketball hoop in the driveway where kids actually played. Through the window, I could see a family having dinner, laughing about something. A real family in a real home living their real lives. I hoped the ghosts of those 3 months didn't linger for them. Hoped they never felt the echo of Tyler's confusion, Madison's reluctant violin practice, Sophia's whispered secrets about boats that didn't exist. But ghosts or no ghosts, life had moved on. The house that had briefly held a stolen family now held a genuine one. The rooms that had echoed with forced lies now rang with authentic truth. And somewhere in Dublin, 3 children were growing up with their real mother, their real names, their real lives restored, not unmarked by their experience. Trauma like that always leaves marks, but healing, growing, becoming who they were meant to be. That was the only victory that really mattered. Not Angela's imprisonment, not Christopher's downfall, not even my own recovery. But that 3 children who'd been forced to live a lie were now free to live their truth. The foster children had never been foster children. The marriage had never been real. The homecoming had been a nightmare disguised as a dream. But the truth? The truth had set everyone free, even if freedom felt like loss at first. And that truth, painful as it was, turned out to be the only foundation worth building on.